Welcome to the Help Me I'm Middle-Aged podcast. My name is Rob.
And I'm Rob too.
We're just two middle-aged guys who love meeting interesting people and hearing their stories.
Our goal is to bring you interesting guests and their unique stories to inspire, educate, and entertain. So sit back, relax, because here we go.
Welcome to the Help Me I'm Middle-Aged podcast. My name is Rob.
And I'm Rob too.
And today our guest is Scott MacDade, a mayor, our first elected official on the podcast.
I believe so. We're going up in the world.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about him, Rob.
Well, it looks like, Scott, you graduated from Juniata College.
Yes.
And then for a few years worked at Flemington National Bank. And then for the last 31 years, working at the Parker Insurance Agency for property and casualty.
Well, you're a partner.
And we're your partner. So that's excellent. And you're a lifelong resident of Hunterdon County in New Jersey.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Very nice.
So you were out here before we all got here.
Yes. Long before. I was born at the Hunterdon Medical Center, so a long time ago.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
Well, very excellent. And as Rob said, you are the newly appointed mayor of Raritan Township.
Yes, I am.
And in your spare time, you are holding down a job, too. So that's excellent. So, yeah, we hope to ask you some very intriguing questions and learn a little bit more about your life here. So
hopefully I have some intriguing answers.
Excellent. Well, let's jump right into it. And okay. I guess, so what prompted you to want to pursue political offices?
Well, having lived in Raritan and worked in Raritan Township since the mid-'80s, so I've always had a long commute. If I hit a red light, it's a bad day.
Right.
So I've seen a lot of changes, and I've been actively watching things such as we've developed, a lot of homes being built, new retail stores, schools, roads, and I've always had an interest in what's going on. I've known a lot of the people in the township and involved in politics and the various boards. And a few years back, a friend of mine, became the mayor, and then he had asked me if I'd be take aside, I would always talk to him about issues when I'd see him at Wawa or different things.
You're the guy who got the public official at Wawa.
So I think one day he finally said, okay, I'm going to call your bluff. Would you like to be on the planning board? So I thought, wow, what a great opportunity. It also hit me at a time when my kids were in college or out of college, so I had more spare time. So I was on the planning board about 5 years ago, which got me involved in what was going on in the township. And it felt like we made a difference in the lives of the township residents, trying to keep growth, in a responsible, smart way and keep a lot of open space. So did that a couple of years. And then as I was doing that, I got to know more people involved in government and in our township. And then an opening, that same person, I guess, was retiring from the committee or just choosing not to run anymore. So there was an opening. So they asked me if I would be interested in running, and thought about it for a couple of days. And once again, I think the timing was good. Kids were now out of the house, daughter married, son finished school. So I decided to run 3 years ago for Township Committee, and was elected, and spent the first year learning a lot about it. Last year, I was chosen to be deputy mayor by the other committee members, and then this year was chosen.
In Raritan Township, the way the government is organized, you don't run for mayor. You run for council, and then the council votes a mayor in.
Exactly. You've been following your
civics class.
Yes, civics class. Exactly. So
engaged citizenry. What do they go? Engage.
I like that. So we have 5 committee members. The terms are 3-year terms, and amongst the 5 committee members, we choose a deputy mayor and a mayor each year.
Okay.
So there have been times, I think, where a mayor over the years has maybe served 2 years in a row, but that's chosen annually. Gotcha. Other towns might choose a mayor where they actually elect a mayor, and that mayor's term is 4 years, or so.
Gotcha. And now, I just want to say something before we get going here, is I know journalists are very trained in what they do and respect the profession, and they interview a public official and they come like incredibly prepared and
Right.
We're not journalists.
Right.
We're two guys who do a podcast on a weekend.
Yep,
So
exactly.
apologize to the journalist community.
Yep.
We're not even pretending. We're not even pretending to be on the weekend.
Yep.
But next question is, how did the process of the responsibility of, like I always say, you guys are in a tough spot because nobody wants to pay high taxes, but people want high services. So you have to balance out the two, right?
Always.
Always. Right. So like the challenge of that is got to be immense because you have all of these state mandates or stuff that you just have to do through the state. You have county freeholders, you have federal guidelines, and you all just have to come into this big pie and try and provide the level of service without making it too an expensive place to live, because we live in New Jersey, which is known for
I think some high taxes.
Some high taxes,
Yeah,
right. It's known for what exit you're from,
right?
Even though it doesn't pertain to us.
Pork roll, tomatoes, and high taxes.
High taxes. So you have all these issues you have to deal with. Have you found it challenging?
Well, one of the things people would always say to me, or say, "Hey, what do you have, or do you have questions about the government? Just keep my taxes low, or lower my taxes." So the point I always say to them is, in your tax bill, let's just say it's $10,000 a year, property taxes. Our township cut is 12%, $1,200 of the 10,000.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
right, because it goes to schools.
The county gets 13, and the rest goes to schools. So, we could go crazy and really do things wild, and it wouldn't have much of an impact on your tax bill.
Right.
Yeah. But we don't do that.
Right.
We don't want to. We've kept it, as low as we can. But yeah, there are a lot of pressures on it. We're seeing this year, as we're doing budgets, a lot of, I'd call it inflationary pressure, energy costs, gas,
fuel.
Fuel. I don't know if we've seen labor costs going up except for their normal increases, but you might have to pay more for people down the road.
Right.
And so these things are really impacting us greatly in trying to keep things in line there. I think, the schools will have their own issues, as you get your tax bill and stuff. So yes, we're always trying to balance it. We still want to, and then obviously buying equipment, trucks going up, costs to redo roads, because, you want us to have a safe place, so we got to keep our police. You want to have nice roads, right?
Sure.
Not, or, where
drivable roads.
Yeah, we're not, losing a tire every time you hit a pothole.
Right.
So these are things we're very aware of. So
It's a dance. I think you got to kind of balance it out and kind of do what you need to do, and have the public recognize that, hey, it's going to cost money to do some of these things.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah, but like what people, I think that was very powerful. They don't realize like how much of their actual tax dollars go to their town.
Right.
I mean,
Totally.
schools, of course, like,
Right.
we have a great school system,
certainly.
but I mean, that the school budget isn't the hospital budget.
No.
Or isn't the police budget. You know what I mean?
No, and if your kids are gone, not going to school anymore, there's always that question, well, why can't you reduce my taxes for me?
But it was okay while my kids.
Yeah, it was okay.
Exactly.
Right,
pay it forward, I think,
Pay
at
it
this
forward,
point.
right?
Yes.
We pay it forward. We pay it forward. So, what was the when you were is it called appointed, or how would you
to mayor?
Yeah,
Appointed would probably be
your
the right
fellow
word.
council people elected you
Yes,
to
they
be
did,
the mayor.
yes.
How is like the responsibility? Is it more?
Well, it is. I'll back it up to when I first started, on the committee. When you first on the committee, I'd gone to some meetings and stuff.
Sure.
But you don't know what goes on behind the scenes till you're on the committee. So it was a great learning experience. The first year. Last year, deputy mayor involved even a little more heavily, more in the budget process, maybe some personnel issues. And this year as mayor, you got a wider scope there. I will say one thing that makes the job easier is our staff in the township is phenomenal, from our administrator, police chief, DPW. They all do a really good job. And,
absolutely.
And they're dedicated, as I've seen with that. Also, fellow committee members have been great sources of counsel. I can talk to former mayors, Jeff Cool, Gary Hazard, and stuff.
Right.
So when you're the mayor, right? What decision is yours, and what decision is the council?
The buck stops here. No, I'm kidding. Most decisions are still done by the council. I would, when we have meetings, I'll set the agenda, kind of run things that way. But there's really very few decisions that I would make on my own without the council.
Right.
Type of things.
Gotcha.
We all have like different assignments. We're involved in different committees. Like one might kind of oversee the police, DPW, on a day-to-day basis, or kind of help out there. But then we all decisions, whether it's taxes, buying this, buying that, are done on a committee level.
Excellent. And then, I mean, like I mentioned before, you're holding down a full-time job still.
Yeah.
So how does that play into life?
Well, that was, I guess, the one decision, I had to, whether they would appoint me, but if I wanted to accept it, how would I balance that? And
Sure.
I would say from deputy to mayor, there is more work, more responsibility. One of the good parts is working in town. I'm able, if I need something, I could swing by at noontime,
Right.
Things like that. So,
or-
it's added a few hours a week, but I'm at a position where I have that time.
But I think, in your case, you have a perspective as a business owner in town and the mayor.
Yeah.
So, that's huge. You can see both sides of the coin, I think, and really kind of
I think
improve.
so.
Yeah.
I think it was prevalent like when we had COVID, right? So we insure a lot of businesses. So I'm talking to them every day, knowing the pain they're going through.
Right.
Small businesses, restaurants, how can we help? So I do think that's an advantage.
Yeah.
Knowing what, our constituents want and need.
Is there a typical day you can kind of map out for us that you would be doing certain things, or is every day a new and exciting world?
Every day kind of new and exciting. I think there's some big cities where a council person is a full-time job.
Right.
Ours, so I would typically I'm in the office 8 to 5 type of thing, but throughout the day I get calls and stuff, and I'm able to take them while I'm at work. It doesn't really cut into my day or hurt my timing, because we have some slow moments. Also, I do schedule meetings, or we'll have meetings during the week,
Right.
1 or 2 a week during work hours, type of thing. And then, of course, we have many meetings in the evening. So
Right. And in your case, your situation is probably ideal. You have the flexibility of being a partner, owner of a company, to be able to not only have your finger on the pulse of what's going on in the community, but also the ability to control your own schedule, which I think
definitely a big
that's
advantage.
huge, I think.
Yeah, it would be a problem if you had a job and you were traveling a lot and
Right.
had a lot of responsibilities outside of Now, are being a public service, doing public service, is it a paid position or is it a volunteer?
Yes, we get a very small amount. Yes,
The
we
council
do.
too.
Yeah, the whole council does.
council
Yes. Yeah.
And do you find it interesting how a lot of people have no idea who the mayor is?
Totally. So, I want to say, don't you know who I am? No, I'm kidding. A lot of people don't even know anything about government, what happens.
Right.
Most people don't. All they do is look at that phrase earlier, my taxes. That's all they know. I don't know if it's 99% of the people.
There's a
don't
segment
know.
of populations that's just not engaged on the local level, right?
Yep.
But they'll have lots of conversations and they won't even know,
And we have an interesting dynamic with Flemington, right? Is it fair to say that the donut is Raritan and the donut hole is Flemington?
Perfect,
So you
yes.
got kind of a unique situation going there, which I'm sure, and they have their own mayor. So, I don't know, do people sometimes think you're the mayor of Flemington?
A lot of people don't realize there's a difference between Flemington and Raritan Township.
Right,
yes.
I think they always ask me, so what's going on with the hotel project? And I'm like,
Yeah,
I get this all the time. I say, well, did you know you've lived here 30 years that we're
you say, well, what do you tell them? Well, I read in the paper.
Right, exactly.
So that happens all the time. And in fact, the borough of Flemington does elect a mayor for a 3 or 4 year term. So
Right.
they're a little different in that regard.
Yeah.
Now, seeing that these two townships they seem so twined together, right? Like even our mailing address says Flemington, but we're not in Flemington. Is there a lot of shared services or no?
I think we have court shared services, but not as many.
Right.
I think I saw something recently. years ago, it would have been like 1910, 1900. We were one, and then they split. The
really?
borough chose to split and become their own, you know.
Wow.
And it's addressed every 10 years. Someone brings it up that
Right.
we should combine.
But
you
even
know.
without that, is there anything you guys do, any shared services?
No, you know, we do try and work together.
Like
with
if there's a big fire, your fire
Oh,
guy goes there.
yes, definitely.
Police help each other, that type of stuff.
definitely, and that does overlap a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then if things are happening of importance, often in the past, the mayor would talk or things like that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, anytime there's a catastrophe event,
Everyone just jumps
all
in.
hands,
All hands on.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So at Barrows, what do they call it? Do they call it urban sprawl? What is the term they use for like the
Building out of
building
everything.
out suburbia?
Definitely sprawl, so,
Sprawl.
yeah.
What is that? I forgot the term I hear sometimes.
Yeah.
So since you've been a youngster, you've seen this town just basically explode in population.
Yes.
I mean, we are the most densely populated state in
True.
the union.
Yeah.
But we are also in a part of the state that
least
is not one of
Is it
the
least
one of
populated?
Sussex
Well,
County,
and
Warren
what's-
County,
and one of the ones down south,
Cumberland, maybe.
Cumberland,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
So there's some.
We're like fourth or anything.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah.
I would think.
But so I guess the challenge for the elected officials is to put a balance with that, right? So what has that been like?
Well, of late, there's been the affordable housing.
Yes.
And a few years ago, I don't know if it was the 2015, there was, or 2016, right around there, we were told, we had to build, I don't know if it, for Raritan Township, it was like 350 or something like that, affordable homes. And they're the ones you're seeing built around like Lowe's,
Costco,
down
yeah.
by Costco there.
Right.
And that's
I drove
something-
by them. They seem like they did a good job.
Oh, they're
Like,
really
very
nice,
pretty
yeah.
from the
Yeah,
outside.
they did a great
they,
job.
They're very nice.
Yeah, they're always. In fact, that's the look you see everywhere, right? Of all these.
Well, that's what a good
apartments being
committee will
built.
do, right?
Right,
So
right,
make
right,
it look good.
Well,
so.
that's the planning board. And,
Exactly.
That's
Right,
what I mean.
right,
Board of
right.
Adjustment.
Right.
Yes. With that. So yes, they look nice, and then so we're looking to put them in areas where one sewer capacity, of course,
Right.
which we
Huge.
we are like.
You're done.
Done. Nothing left. And then also where there were shops and stores so that people could walk to the supermarket or, some
Right.
different things there. So looking for the density to put it there. So,
It's part of developing a balanced community.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
yeah, so it is different. And then I know the borough has their own new housing coming on board with Liberty Village and some
Right.
other things. So,
Yeah, that's a major build out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Flemington went through major changes. I guess the previous situation with Flemington being a destination kind of lost some of that competitive edge, I guess, over the last few years. But
It's probably been 10 plus
yeah,
years now. Yeah.
and I think the financial problems back in 2008 were kind of a big start to that. But
Yeah.
for the most part, it seems to be coming back, which is nice.
And I think, when they get some of these projects done, they'll come back with
Right.
Vengeance.
real
It's-
momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that'll help the whole community.
The
from
surrounding community.
The hotels, the restaurants, the shops and stuff. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So what was some of the challenges that you didn't think were going to be there once you got involved? Like once you tore the curtain back, you started reading the documents, you started, really drilling down. Was there anything that really caught your eye
Well,
about being in public service?
for the last couple of years, there were some pretty big things that happened. COVID, obviously,
Right,
was the big
yeah.
one. And I think Raritan Township handled it really well. We, kept our staff, our doors open. You'd have to knock on the door and stuff, but
Right.
we had swing shifts and stuff from DPW on down. People were able to get building permits, so some towns just
Yeah.
Oh, there was
done
none.
for like months. You couldn't get it, so we kept things running and operating.
Tried to find a path where
Yeah.
you can take people's safety and gets out and,
We-
and
we-
allow business to keep going.
Exactly, and then we also kept the parks open and stuff. I think we
Right.
closed them for a week or two, but because
Yeah.
people needed outdoor
Activity,
access.
absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
Take a walk in a park
Yeah.
by yourself. You're not bothering anybody.
And then last year we had Ida, which just
Right.
devastated our
The
town.
amount of residents who passed away in our town is insane.
Yeah, that's like, I guess for New Jersey, it's one of the highest, right? For some reason.
Well, I think Flemington had the most rain in the state.
With
Right.
11 inches, right?
Yeah, something. Like,
Just so
we
people don't
weren't
know,
there
it rained like 11 inches
within
in 4 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours.
It was
Unprecedented.
biblical.
And I think I was in the office that day, and nothing was happening. At 3, 4 o'clock, we had hardly had any rain.
Right.
So I think it was a false sense of security.
Sure.
Right? Then by the time I got home, within 3 hours, and that's why I think a lot of people were on the roads.
Right. They didn't see it was going to be a problem,
No.
and then, yeah.
well,
And areas you could never think would flood like that, right?
Well, what happened was the phone started going off with the severe weather alerts. Mm-hmm. I think we've seen some of them in the past. We went, oh,
Yeah, no big deal.
yeah. And I remember seeing on my TV, I was like,
And you look outside, right?
yeah. And then all of a sudden, and I was like, okay, they got this one right, like 1,000%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nice.
But yet you go up to like High Bridge, Washington, yeah, normal rain.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't, thank goodness, have the issues. So.
Yeah, that was epic.
So that was, devastating. But our responders, from the fire department, the rescue squad, the police, and all the other volunteers did amazing job. I have friends that are firemen in other parts of the county, High Bridge and stuff, and I actually had a couple calls, and they had sent their people down to help us, and they told me the great job that Raritan Township did, that the other firefighters look at them as like rock stars.
Oh,
They
wow.
were in awe with the phenomenal job.
Well, they certainly had their time to shine at that
Didn't one
point.
of our firehouses get flooded?
Yeah, the one on South Main Street.
South
yeah.
Main Street. I mean,
And that's a flood zone, which you would never realize, right?
No, I've been there 20 years, never saw any water there. But I mean, so not only they're fighting they're fighting the storm, they're trying to rescue people, but their own house,
Their own
their
building,
old
yeah.
firehouse got flooded. So
Yeah.
it's like
That's
they couldn't
crazy.
win for losing.
Yeah. So that was real hard. And as you said, loss of lives and stuff. In fact, our former mayor, Gary Hazard, organized a massive cleanup because people had so much damage. And what do you do with the carpeting from the basement or
Oh, yeah.
furniture and stuff? And he got a group, we call them like an army, guys from the Moose Lodge, various businesses.
That's great.
Gave their trucks and times.
To get the
and
debris
their
out.
employees, yeah, and we all so there were 100 volunteers, and we would ride with the guys on the trucks, and we take it up and take it over to our DPW, yeah,
Right.
and so that that was an amazing job
But
and community.
That's when you love when a community comes together.
Yeah.
Like, now you're mayor at the time when this happened.
No, I
you
wasn't.
weren't.
Gary
Oh,
Hazard
deputy
was.
mayor at that
Yeah,
time.
deputy mayor. So
Deputy mayor. It's got to be like, that's probably that catastrophe that happened in our county. I mean, I don't remember anything like that happen.
no,
Yeah.
So it's
worse than Sandy and the other ones.
yeah. Sandy was just a lot of wind for us.
Yeah, this was a lot of rain.
Yeah,
It was a lot
people
of-
lost power and
Right,
stuff, but
right.
it wasn't loss of lives and
Yeah.
stuff and extreme damage.
Did
what
I
could
mean
cause-
with COVID and the hurricane? Did that have you thinking like maybe I don't want to be mayor? It's just,
No, I think actually, maybe if I'd have thought. No, I'm kidding. But, no, I think when I saw how the employees of the township responded,
Right.
the committee, the community,
Makes me proud to be part of
it
it.
does.
Yeah.
Yes, and that we can handle these things.
yeah, because it sometimes takes an event like that to really kind of make you appreciate what can be done,
Yep.
and that's got to be rewarding to see
Like,
that.
when you think about public service and the firefighters in our community, I mean, you're just in awe. Like, these are people who are just doing their lives. They have jobs, bills to pay. They got everything like we do. And then, when the siren goes off, they're
yeah.
running in the fires when the rest of us are running the other way.
Right.
And they're trying to save lives, prevent as much loss of property that's possible.
They put themselves in harm's way to save others.
Yeah,
And you're leading this group. You're the mayor, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's got to be an awe to just be around them, and it's inspiring.
They get our respect every day. It's
and they
amazing
deserve
what
it. I mean,
yes,
they really do. 'Cause
from the
it's-
everybody.
Everyone, all up and down the line.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and law enforcement. I mean, it's just
tough times to be in law enforcement. And, as you've seen these studies, Raritan Township, one of the safest or
Right.
the safest in America to raise a family. There was some
Yeah.
phenomenal number.
was great.
Top 50, I knew that.
Right,
but,
right.
yeah. And that's a sign of it.
And that's not going to cause our taxes to go up anywhere.
Remember, municipal taxes are only. but raising your families there,
Right.
you've
Yep.
always felt safe, and I mean,
the school system itself is phenomenal.
have you ever had a concern, going anywhere in town?
No.
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 No, or yeah.
And then also, with the schools, with the, have people stationed there to protect. The
Yeah,
students.
nowadays it's a factor. So, yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
A lot going on. Now, as far as everyone always talks about taxes, right? I think sometimes I remember my grandmother. She was on a fixed income, and she was living in a part of the state where the taxes were going up. This was in the 80s, and the World War II generation. Grandpa died 55. They had their pension, and she had to sell her house. It's really tough.
Yeah.
I mean, we live in a really high tax place, and we don't realize that the ones who really suffer the most are the ones on
Fixed incomes.
fixed
and-
income,
Sure.
lower economic class. They did the right things all through life, good people, and then they just get priced out of a community. It's tough.
Can't afford to stay where
Can't
they
afford to stay where they are.
Yeah, that's a shame.
It's tough.
What I think I've seen where the governor's addressing property taxes. We'll see what happens there.
Right.
So
Yeah.
and we try and do what we can to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Keep
it's a balance of
Yeah.
some
Balance,
sort
It's
you have
tough,
to deal with.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it really is.
Now, do you being mayor for a year, do you envision kind of rotating back into being a mayor in the future? or-
We'll see.
We'll see. Okay. Yeah, step at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense. I mean, 'cause
But it's gone better. It's been so it wouldn't be something I wouldn't do.
Right, right.
So yes.
Well, I think it's kind
been
of cool.
a good experience.
You get the evolution into mayorship, and that's a great way to see what's behind the scenes,
Yeah.
and also kind of say, okay, well, if I'm kind of gearing that way, that's what I can expect, barring COVID or Sandy or other major events like
Yeah,
that.
it was good. I had a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like a little apprentice.
Yes,
Yeah.
without
You
a
came
doubt.
in on a committee, then a council, and then so you sort of work your way into it. It would be tough just coming in off the street.
Oh, I would
Yeah.
think it'd be pretty hard to.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say impossible because there are some good people, but
Right.
And like I said, having a business there, I think you have your pulse on a lot of
Yeah.
other, especially the property and casualty business. I would imagine that
Yeah.
you can see a lot of behind the scenes on a lot of other businesses and what they're going through.
Where I spend most of my time in Raritan Township. you know,
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So do you encourage people now that you've gone through this process to enter public service in their local communities?
Yes, we always try and talk to people about it. You'd like to get younger people possibly, though I realize the time commitment is hard if you have a young family
Yeah.
or something. But yes, we always try and get people involved, and most of them, you're the mayor. No, as we get to, they don't know what's going on. But sometimes if you talk to them, plant the seed, and talk to them again. Because we're always looking for good people to help. So.
Sure.
Absolutely. And then you need a talent pool.
Yeah. Yes.
You need a talent pool
That's a
who
good
wants
phrase.
to come in and dedicate their time.
Yeah.
Because they're not coming in for the salary.
No, and it's also time where it's going to take you a couple of years, to be a little more effective.
Right. Right. So is there any your time in politics in local government, has there been you don't have to talk about the issue, but has there been a contentious issue where now this committee does not agree on an issue that's really of high importance?
No, I would say we've haven't had that yet. I haven't experienced it. There might be a dissension, one or two, just maybe don't want to go along with it. But no, we've not. I have not seen those issues yet.
That's good. So I guess the bell curve, there's always going to be outliers at certain points,
Yeah,
so it's going to be a
'cause
factor.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
some people just generally disagree on an issue.
Yeah,
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
And that's fair.
And we respect that. yes.
Exactly. Having the conversation, I think, is the most important. Air your grievances there and make sure both sides know. So I think that's...
And respect. yes.
Exactly.
Respect.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, nowadays that's more appreciated than
isn't
ever.
that the truth? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So one of our big flagships in this town is the Flemington car and truck country.
Yes.
And one of the giants in our town, Steve Caliper, just recently passed away, right?
Yes.
And I always used to see him in interviews, and he just seemed like, did you know him?
Yeah, not well,
really?
but
No.
I've, seen him for 35 years or something. Seen
Right,
him around and
right,
stuff.
right,
I
right.
knew him to shake his hand.
Oh, okay.
so,
But
yeah.
whenever you hear the advertisements for our town, it was either Flemington Furs
Right.
and Flemington Car and Truck Country, which I don't think Flemington Car and Truck Country is in Flemington.
Correct.
It's in Raritan Township.
The Raritan Corner. If only.
Right. Right.
But then they would think it was Somerville, right around.
Yeah, that is
Right,
because there is
right.
Raritan up here near
Yeah,
Bridgewater area. So.
Is there like an old story, like is there a story behind the two names being so close to each other?
The only thing I can guess, no, I don't know. I'm thinking Raritan River.
Right,
you know,
right, Raritan Township.
Yeah.
I got you. That's pretty cool.
But we do get calls or things on.
Oh yeah,
From I'm sure they get stuff. You know,
Right.
from
you
for
guys.
Raritan Township. So yeah.
that's great. That's gonna be interesting. So, how long do you think this is? You're going to devote your life to public service, your extracurricular activity?
Well, Strom Thurmond went till at 90. No, I'm kidding. So I'm up for re-election this year. So
Have you made a decision?
yeah, I'm going to run for re-election on the
Okay.
committee, and it would be a 3-year term. So I think that would be a second 3-year term, and then
Then
that's it. On to
on to other things.
the next
And-
generation.
and encourage more people to
yeah,
enter
exactly.
the
Some younger
process.
people. Yes.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
Well, how about outside of being mayor? Any other major achievements that you're in your life that you've been really, really proud of and happy about?
Well, I think my family is pretty much my number one achievement. Yeah, my wife and I have had 2 children. My daughter married a few years and we had our first granddaughter like 8
Congratulations.
months ago.
Yeah,
Wow.
congratulations.
And they live in Raritan Township.
Nice.
So we see her all the time.
So built-in babysitters.
Yes.
we had her last weekend, and man, I forget, it wore you out. Even though,
Oh yeah.
even though nap up a few hours, but it's like,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
A younger man's game.
thank
Yes,
goodness
yes.
they came home. You know, but it was wonderful. And then my son's lives down in Arlington, so
Oh,
Very
Virginia.
nice.
yeah,
Very nice.
so
Nice.
so they're both very great people and fun and
Yeah.
so we enjoy them and we're very proud of them. So
That's
I would say that's our number one achievement.
Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean,
Having kids.
Yeah.
It's and especially in today's day and age, it's there's a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
so.
Oh yeah, we had the ups and downs.
Right.
So
Sure.
we all
Sure.
do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Any fears for the future? Anything you're seeing from the political side that I guess with COVID being what it was, and you see the different sides more detached from one another. Anything you're seeing coming down the road?
Well, I think on a local level, we don't see that.
No, right.
People are still may disagree on issues, but we all kind of are pulling for what's best for Raritan Township.
Right.
So we see that. Yeah, I hope on a national level we can realize we can disagree, but we can have dialogue. We don't have to be
Yeah.
at each other's throats. Compromise or whatever.
And
so-
just mutual respect, I think.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's,
exactly.
That's huge,
Yep.
just to hear what other people are feeling and all. So,
Yeah, and I don't think it's as bad as the media portrays
Right.
it.
Yeah.
I think most of us just disagree a little, and we.
yeah,
you know,
it just gets
Right.
blown up out of
Yeah, I
proportion.
think so.
too much.
Well,
well,
after your little experience, what would you tell people thinking about coming in the public
but
service?
I think you have to listen to people, to your residents, see what their concerns are. Also, once you've been on the committee, you kind of see direction. We want to keep taxes in line, but we still have to provide the services. So I guess it's listening to people, and then eventually you have to be decisive and make up your mind.
Right. Yeah, you can't just listen to people forever and
No,
sort of gather
you
from
just
data.
kind of, you try and take the different, points of view and then come up with the best decision.
Do you guys find like the Board of Education, are they in charge of the budget for the school? So if the Board of Education decides the budget of the school goes up 10% that year, you guys just say, okay, like you don't have a legal choice, right?
Correct.
But you guys get the blame.
Yeah,
They don't know who the mayor is. They have no idea who's on the Board of
Right,
Education.
but there are caps to how much they
Oh,
can go
there
up.
are caps.
But yes, that is what happens
Right.
here. No, I think the school.
And we have a great school system with an amazing
Definitely.
staff, and we're so proud of them. But I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like like people don't realize like how it works.
Yes.
There's
So-
two entities here trying to.
Correct. They set their own budget. And,
Right, right.
yeah, like I said, there are caps that the state says you.
You can't go up that
Yeah,
much.
exactly.
Right,
So,
right.
but yeah, they're on their own. Now they have some big issues. I think they're looking at redistricting.
I've
What does
heard
that mean?
yeah.
Explain that.
Well, that's the school's area, but that means there's too many kids in one school or not another. And
okay.
into the grammar schools and
Right.
stuff,
Gotcha, yeah.
K through 8. So they're working on
The-
redistrict, moving them around, which is a tough issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to balance everything. Parents, your kids go here, and now I'm going to go to somewhere
Yeah,
else.
they did that when my kids were. They had the Damar Copper Hill, and they moved them around a little bit. Then all kids were going to Daymar, then went to Copper Hill.
Right.
And yeah.
So that would be tough issues, you know. And eventually they all end up together in
And high school,
fifth
middle school.
grade, middle school. Yeah.
JPK.
Well, I was going to ask you, what questions do you have as citizens of Raritan Township? What would you like to see?
Why are my taxes so high? No, just kidding.
I'm always a patient guy, so
We plowed your driveway.
straight.
Yeah, straight.
I'm always a patient guy. So I realize, because I have a lot of Bergen County roots, and I speak to a lot of people around the state, and I see how much their taxes are. So I'm always like, oh, okay. So like, and I know that traditionally they've been very conservative on the budget here. They've always prided themselves, local government, on trying to keep taxes down. So if I hit a pothole, if my street's not paved, if the curbing's, I always say, well, you know, they don't raise taxes, right?
Right.
So they're not pricing people out of the community.
No.
Because I always go back to my grandmother. Like when I see an elderly lady and she's by herself in a little ranch house, I'm like, okay, we can't make the community so expensive where they can't live.
Right.
And we have to remember there's a lot of people on the line.
Right.
So I'm a little, probably not like your average. I'm a little more patient. So
We'd like that.
Well, I've had nothing but incredible experiences. We moved out back in 2006 from Woodbridge Township to Raritan Township. My son was just entering kindergarten, and we wanted a really solid school system, and he had some special needs, so that we wanted to make sure that they were addressed. And I will never complain about taxes, because just the phenomenal job that I've seen living where we live has just been fantastic. I mean, and again, to your point, I'm patient. I'm not expecting miracles to happen.
Right.
In general, I'm just very happy with the experience that Raritan Township has brought to my family. And you know, for the most part, I don't really have any questions at this point to say, what are you going to do next, or why can't you do that, or it's.
I think you guys are in a tough spot.
Yeah.
You know, our doors are always open, or phones are always on to talk to our residents and listen to their concerns. But, you know, we do live here. We've raised our families here. I have a grandchild here, and, you know, we still want Raritan Township to be the great place to live, safe, open space, as you see. You know, still continuing to do that at almost no cost to the township. It's through the county open space funds or state open space funds, and we're, you know, taking properties that might have been developed and turning them into open space. Exactly. Right. So that's a big thing. You know, we're looking with our parks and stuff to you see much more activity than ever seen before. You know, I think Minebrook is undergoing a facelift because they had extreme damage.
Right.
I just saw a new fence go up and stuff.
Nice.
So
Nice.
doing things to make them, more appealing. You know, because a lot of people need that. So
Yeah, well, I have a kid who went through soccer. A lot of parents used to say,
Right.
we don't have an AstroTurf field in our town. We don't have lights in our town, our soccer fields.
remember the nice fields there at
Lenape?
the soccer field they built out by Clover
Clover
Hill.
Hill.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
phenomenal.
You know, the main guy who was responsible for that.
You?
No,
Who was?
Gary Hazard.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Oh, that
okay.
was Gary?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
former mayor. Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, that's a beautiful place. It
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Absolutely. And if
there were probably others involved, but Gary was heavily involved.
But
yeah.
that was my son was part of that soccer group, and it was great. I mean,
Yeah.
it was,
No, that's a
he spent
definite-
like 10 years with them.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
very nice.
Yeah,
Very
and,
nice.
and what was nice is that they had, it's called GFC, Greater Flemington Soccer or something.
Yeah.
And they had the A team, they had B teams, they had C teams. Like whatever your level of soccer was, they'd plug you in.
Right.
The important part is you're playing and
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah.
The inclusion of it.
The inclusion of it, right?
Absolutely.
And everyone would come and play.
And I always find too, whether your kid's going to play in high school or not, you're keeping your children busy too, which is very helpful. No matter what you like to do, whether it's music, play,
Right.
sports, you know.
So this Diamond Nation, that's in Raritan Township.
Yeah.
This is like a phenomenon. People come from all, the only reason I know our town, like they come from all, I talk to people from out of state. Oh, I've been to Diamond Nation. My kids
Right.
in the baseball. I mean, that's a great little engine that just keeps playing.
Well, in the summer, if you go by on a Monday through Friday at 10 a.m.
Oh, it's packed.
It's packed.
Oh, yeah.
Not just weekends.
It's overflows.
which it used to be.
Yeah.
Truly amazing.
But I mean, you know, just having young people play baseball, coming together, you know.
And they're out there, and a couple weeks ago, the minute
Oh, yeah.
they got
yeah.
above 15 degrees,
Right.
college teams, and So they're here for the weekends. They stay in the hotels, which are up in a lot of them in Bridgewater, whatnot.
Right.
Now they'll use ours when
they're built, right?
Yeah, when they're built, or the boroughs, and they all go to all the restaurants, right? Because the kids, boys and girls, love to eat, right? And that's their fun. So.
So one of the sad parts about the township in the last year, me and you've reflected on it a lot, and it's been sad. The loss of Applebee's.
Oh.
Applebee's is gone. We were so sad.
So bad that country western singer made a song about
Applebee's. Yeah, and then it's just like,
I think he said Flemington Applebee's.
Yeah. It used to be like the place you used to see everyone in town at a little Applebee's.
Yeah, exactly. Especially on a football Sunday or something.
They did such a great job. Like they would decorate it with local stuff. Yeah. It was so sad when they pulled that out of town.
And that was a victim of COVID, I guess. Or
I would think so. Yeah.
What's there now?
Nothing's empty.
It's empty at this point.
Wow, we're really sad. Well, Garrett, we definitely like to thank you for coming out.
Yeah, Scott, this has been fantastic.
Absolutely, Scott. I mean, it's been like a really good conversation. I hope that people who listen to this who aren't as politically involved,
and not just in Flemington, or
but
in
Raritan, especially in New Jersey, you have to understand like your taxes are your schools, your county, and then your town only has a little bit of that pie. And I think that helps a little bit with the understanding.
And I think our issues, as you were saying, apply to a lot of the municipalities in New Jersey and around the country, probably.
Well, and also a respect for individuals like yourself who are doing this in addition to other things in their life. I mean, that's huge. Yeah. So I think that goes with a lot of gratitude, for individuals like yourself doing that.
Yeah, and I love you're going to do it for X amount of period of time. You're going to encourage new people to come into the process. I think that's what it's all about, because that's how the township continues the continuity.
New ideas and new energy.
Yeah. That's what it's all about. And we've just all been really lucky to find this little place.
So how would you encourage younger individuals to enter into a more civic-minded situation?
Well, we have various committees, from historian, environmental. The planning boards are a little more involved because you have meetings all the time, and open space. So we have different committees where people can get involved, start out the process, and volunteers when we have community days and things like that. So and I think our website, Raritan Township website, has a lot of that information. Or they could reach out to myself or the other committee members.
And on the same side, if people are disgruntled with certain things, what's the best way for them to voice concern or go to a meeting? Or
I would say contact anyone but me. No.
Okay. Smart.
They would reach out to myself or other committee members or our township administrator.
Right.
Some things they could come to a meeting, but some things they could probably accomplish by sending us an email or a phone call and get an answer. Or maybe it's something we weren't aware of.
Right,
and
exactly.
we can rectify. Or maybe there's a reasonable explanation.
Right.
So.
I guess involvement really is what comes down to, do things, to get out there.
At the end of the day, you are where you are because you chose to go down the path of getting involved.
Yes.
Questions, and and then the process just organically evolved.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it. Better than I could have.
Well, and I have to thank you personally and all the people who came before you, creating such a wonderful environment to raise a family. I mean, that's, like I said, it's been great moving out here, and I guess we've been here for almost 16 years. So it's been enjoyable.
Well, just on that same note, so my daughter, when your kids grow up, the town, even yourselves, the town you grew up in is the most boring place in the world. Right? So my daughter went away to school and then came back home, and she's one I never thought would come back. And I remember her saying when she was 23, 24, Dad, this would be a great place to stay and raise a family. I'm like, yes, I like that. So, when you're younger, it's boring. But eventually you realize. Yes.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it's apprecidated.
It's really appreciated. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And thank you for entering public service.
No, and thank you for having me.
No problem.
Yeah, and this has been fantastic. I mean, it's I don't really know what goes on behind the scenes a lot of times of all the different positions people have, but this has been really eye-opening. Yeah. And just kind of reconfirming it's pretty great place.
So now 3 more people understand
Exactly,
what goes
right.
on. So
That's right.
That's good.
3 more potential committee members.
There you go. Your kids are
Exactly.
We don't want the place going downhill.
No.
We do have standards.
Yeah, we have
Exactly.
standards.
That's right.
Well, this is the Help Me I'm Middle Aged podcast. My name is Rob.
And I'm Rob too.
And thank you for coming out, Scott. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Scott MacDade, Mayor of Raritan Township. Yep.
There you go.
And to our audience, remember to hit the subscribe button, smash the like button, and share with friends and family. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Scott.